Hi there, I'm Ewan the Therapist. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be exploring why I think AI therapists are a really, really bad idea. And I'm not going to be saying this because I think I'm going to be out of a job. I'm going to be outlining, why I think this is and why it's both a problem regarding therapy and why it's a problem just, I think, in terms of what it points to overall as a direction we're going socially and culturally. So let's get stuck into it. Now, AI therapy is a thing. It's happening. It's not like going to happen. It's already here. And there are kind of two forms of AI therapy at the moment. I think there's more like your informal AI therapy, which is where someone's like, oh my God, ChatGPT is my therapist, or whatever kind of language model learning AI someone's using, they're engaging with on this kind of intimate personal level and getting, in inverted commas, therapy. And then there are more formal therapy apps that are classified as AI therapy, and some of these are guys, just kind of AI companions, in inverted commas, that can sort of become your sort of indirect therapist. But, you don't need a real, in inverted commas, human therapist. You can get AI therapy. And I'd like to kind of go through why I think that's really alarming and why I think it's dangerous and why I think it's just, a very, very bad idea. But before we get into the details of that, I would like to acknowledge there are some upsides to it, you might say. So it's not, I think on the whole it's bad, but there are things like therapy is very inaccessible for a lot of people in terms of its price or in terms of its availability. I myself charge what I consider sort of on the low end, and I have a sliding scale for people who are students or low income, but not every therapist does that. So for a lot of people, accessing therapy is something that's very difficult, both financially and maybe practically. You could say, look, an AI therapist could be better than nothing. If someone gets online, an AI therapist, in inverted commas, or ChatGPT sort of talks them off the cliff edge, then, okay, that could be a good thing. There are probably some levels of self-awareness it could bring about for people in terms of bringing some insight into kind of why they are where they are. So in terms of accessibility and availability and a tool to access, okay, I could see how it has potentially some limited advantages. And obviously that comes with a lot of problems as well. So none of these things are cost-free. So we'll acknowledge that out of the gate. But when we look at AI therapy, and before I critique it, we really have to ask the question of what is therapy? So when I'm talking about therapy, what am I talking about? And on one level, if you define therapy as just me as a credentialed expert sitting across from you, giving you advice and tools and strategies as to kind of what you should do to make your life better or to feel less one way and more another way. And all I am is just this body of knowledge that I'm curating and a conduit for. And I'm just passing on information to you as this separate sort of autonomous individual. Then you could say, well, what is the difference? If that's all therapy is, it's just a communication of knowledge from one expert to a non-expert. And I think when you reduce therapy to that, which to some degree I think CBT and other models have become a little bit like it's just skill sets and it's just kind of knowledge that's being imparted. And if that is the case, well, why wouldn't an AI robot do that just as good as a human? And you could argue that is the case. But my understanding, particularly with my training in Gestalt therapy and my experience of therapy as someone who's a therapist, but has also had a lot of therapy, is what makes therapy. Therapy is the relationship. It is the human contact. And what I have experienced both as a therapist, as someone that's had therapy, is I divide it up to about 40% skills and about 60% connection. That a good therapist, first and foremost, has a connection, cares about you. There's a warmth and a kindness and a genuine attentive attunement and interest in you as a person that they're able to communicate session after session where you really feel cared for. And on top of that, or in conjunction with that, there are skills and there's a toolbox and there are things at their disposal, be it DBT or somatic therapies or whatever it may be, mindfulness, that you're able to then impart within the framework of that care. But primarily, it's this feeling of like, I'm here in therapy, in this process of repairing often what's come from relationships, a healthy, safe attachment and connection with another person, which is a therapist. Now, yes, in an ideal world, we shouldn't have to pay someone to have that. our communities and our culture that all should be built in. But sadly, that's not the case. Sadly, we come from very wounded, traumatizing cultures that in turn require that healing process that therapists are there for. And what AI therapy is going to be selling you is that it's just like skills. It's just this imaginary person that you can talk to who attunes back to you, and that's enough. That the mimicking of connection is the same as connection. That me pretending I care about you as an AI robot and showing all the signs of caring about you, but not really caring about you, that's going to be adequate. That the mimicking is as good as the real thing. Now, in human terms, what we call someone who mimics care and pretends to care but doesn't really is a sociopath, where you just pretend things and mimic things in order to demonstrate or show that there's some human quality to you. Yeah, that's considered sociopathic. So if you found out your therapist was a sociopath or a psychopath, you would, feel a bit, I feel a bit uncomfortable with this. But that's what you're signing up to with AI therapy, the mimicking of humanness. And no matter how much they try to tell you that it's just like the real thing, it will not be. There's a spirit, feeling, and heartfulness that no matter what the language models do or how they present it, it's just never going to come to that. And this points to the next thing of where this points to from a broader picture, because this is coming and more of this is coming. And this is what we're going to be sold, that this substitute for human connection is as good as, or maybe even better. That an AI therapist doesn't have a bad day. An AI therapist is always attuned. There's no messiness of human relationships, as if messiness is the problem. That really, if we just delete all the humanness of the therapist and they're just purely focused on you and they're attentive to you, and you see that with these imaginary AI companions, that it's like there's no issue with them. They're exactly as you want them to be, as if that's the problem. And if you've ever been married and had kids, half the beauty of the relationship is not what's right. Half of what makes a good marriage good is what's not good, because it's there we learn. It's there that in the messiness and the complexity and the problems, we grow and we move and evolve. If you had a marriage or children, there was just no issue, there would be no growth. There would be no movement. There'd be no passage forward. So our humanness is our messiness. And don't be fooled in the bigger picture when they try to tell you that's not the case. When they try to tell you the mimicking and imitation of humanness is as good as humanness. And this is the irony with the culture we're in, that the technological advances we've gained that have isolated us so much, they're also providing the solutions for that isolation. So it's like a donut factory opening up a weight loss pill across the road. And this is kind of like we're in. Everything's kind of a reinforcing loop. And we have to resist this. And this is and I'm not wanting to sound alarming, but this is where it's going. This is alarming because there's a re-engineering and a redefining of what it is to be human, what it is to relate. And it's possible. And if you want to see a really clear example of how this has happened right under our nose, look at sexual relationships. Up until 70 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, all of human history of our 250,000 years as Homo sapiens, sexual interactions have been with two people, one person, another, and that's it. That's what they've been confined to. Maybe others, depending, but in general, two people. And now the majority of sexual force and energy is spent up on pornography. Now it is normalized and just considered part of like the way it is, where people's sexual force goes on an image on a screen, it's released and moved on. And that's happened. That's just a complete re-engineering of what we consider sexuality, what we consider sex. And that's happened right before us. And the same will be happening with AI relationships, AI therapists, AI friendships. Late stage capitalism looks to monetize everything. Everything. It's running out of stuff to build out of the ground and turn into products. So it's going to turn our relationships into products. It's going to turn our needs into products. And it's true, therapy is a product, but it still has a humanness to it. It still has a care to it. I really care about my clients. I really do. In a heartfelt way, I care. And no matter what we're going to be told, AI friendships, AI girlfriends, AI therapists will not be the real thing. They will drain us. There's some deeper level. You will feel something's not right. And the weird thing is when you feel that, you have more of the thing that's not right. Like sugary, terrible food, the more you eat it, the more you want it, and the sicker you get. And this is going to be no different. So to me, it's not just like a bad idea, it's a very, very, very bad idea, both in terms of what it's going to take away from people in terms of actual therapy and in terms of what it points to as a larger whole. Because you have to remember as well, this, like the motive behind AI therapists isn't to care for people, it'll be to do with making money. Now, are there therapists out there that just want to make money? Yeah, they're there, but they're limited to that one individual person. But when you have large conglomerates investing lots of money in creating these AI therapists, their goal will be to keep you coming. Their goal will be to keep you engaged, just like ChatGPT does. It's all about hooking you, not really caring for you. So we have to remember that as well. What's behind all this is greed, power, and stealing and capturing your attention. I feel AI therapy is bad on that individual, the practicalities of what therapy really is and should be, and bad because what it's pointing to. It's pointing to where we're going, and we have to be really careful and really conscious of what we're led into. Because if you don't think it's possible, just look what's happened with pornography. Just look how normalized that's become and how sad that is, that's the state of things in this world. So look, I hope this has made sense. I hope this has helped you. If you've got any comments or any feedback on your experience with any of this, please put them in the comment section below. Thank you for coming. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.